Yeah.
Elizabeth, thank you so much for coming and coming to talk to me. Just to start, will you please tell us your name, just for the tape?
Yes. I'm Elizabeth Woodfield, or Elizabeth F. Woodfield, is my writing name. Yeah, and I'm from Bribie Island, which is near Brisbane in Queensland, Australia.
Elizabeth, thank you for coming all this way, and we're very, very flattered that you should make the effort to come here. First of all, can I just ask, how long have you been writing?
Oh, I've really been writing since I left school, because I left home and I'd write very long letters to my mother, and they were telling little stories of what I was doing, because I went to a property in northwest Queensland, which was absolutely flat land and very dry, and we did quite exciting things with the cattle and the sheep and the horses. But it was super dry because you'd be lucky to get 5 inches of rain a year. Yeah.
It sounds horrible.
Well, in drought time, it's very difficult. And in the very, very wet seasons, it's equally difficult because the whole place floods. Yeah.
So how did you come to write? I mean, that was letters to your mother as a small girl. How did you come to write for publication, for a wider audience?
Well, I had left home by then, so I wasn't quite that small. And then I went to New Zealand, and I lived there 36 years. So again, I was writing initially of my adventures and then of family life. Yeah.
And this work, I mean, how this here we are a little time later.
Yes.
And you and how did you come across the Hammond House competition? How did that strike you?
Well, in New Zealand, I had joined a writing group, and I think for budding writers, that's an important thing to be involved with, where you're sharing your stories and you're learning from one another. And over time, I wrote bigger and bigger things, so getting to the novel. And in Australia, I had gone back to Australia to look after my mother after she had a fall. And again, I joined a writing group, and by then I had finished a novel, but to get published, you're encouraged to write short stories. But I was used to doing that with the letters I sent home, and with our writing group that I had in New Zealand, that was a really terrific learning routine for writing fiction, because I was actually writing for a newspaper and engineering things. And having finished the novel, it was made very clear that we should get involved with writing short stories and trying to get published. So you scan the internet nowadays, and I saw the Hammond House International Literary Festival, and when I saw the theme for 2024, time, I thought, I've had this story running around in my head. I'd actually started one, and I just had to continue with it and develop it into a full story. And it was specifically tailored for Hammond House Literary Festival. And when I learned that I was shortlisted, I was overwhelmed, because to get published, you've got to be published. So that infers you've got to write the short stories. And I was just hoping to get on a long list somewhere to kick off my track record. But lo and behold, I couldn't believe it when I was shortlisted, and then just before Christmas learned that I was highly commended. That was just stunning for me, a great boost. And not only that the anthology of short stories would be published. And that was the ultimate goal.
And in the Australian publishing scene, will that help? You can send that citation to publishers or to agents and they'll help? It
definitely will help, because you've got to... you're encouraged to put a track record in. They don't call it, that's from the engineering terms, track record. Yeah. So this is a fantastic kickstart, and I'm so grateful to Hammond House for putting on the competition and all the judges, because I know competitions are pretty tough because you've got a lot of modern terms they use now for writing stories, quite different to what you learn at school. And I thought, oh, do I meet up with all these, apart from beginning, middle, end? So you're talking about a story arc, and I thought, well, that's got it. It is a complete story. And the title of the story I had was Time Capsules for Frederick. And it's a story about a boy who knows what it's like not to be understood. Life can be very difficult. So it goes through his development in a day, really. The story is situated around, but it refers to his difficulty with speaking and being understood, and how he's encouraged to read and to interpret stories. Because if you've got disabilities, life doesn't stop. There's always possibilities, and you just have to find them.
You obviously come from an engineering background. Is it a great leap? People sometimes make a separation between the arts and the sciences.
Well, I have always drawn. I love doing maps. I wanted to be a cartographer, and being involved with the arts in New Zealand, you could make a living as a potter. So when I suddenly found I was raising 3 children under 3.5 by myself, how on earth do I support them? And I had done a little bit of pottery, which was a new world for me, because imagine being able to craft a mug, finish it, and be able to drink out of it. That was just stunning. Everything did not come out of a factory. So they had a very strong potting community, and we looked to Bernard Leach from England as the father of our pottery movement. And with the pottery, I was always drawing textures of trees and mountains and interpreting them into clay. But through the art society that I belong to, there's so many different arms to the arts, and then getting involved with starting to seriously write short stories. So with the building up of short stories, became a novel, and now I'm back to short stories. And I'm just so thrilled to be here in England and having got this highly commended with.
We're very thrilled to have you, Elizabeth. One final question on that. You come from a land of scorpions and snakes and spiders where everything wants to kill you. Coming from the other end of the planet, what do you think of this rainy, grey little old island you've come to?
Well, I love New Zealand, I love England, because the 4 seasons are so defined, and I hadn't been in UK in the winter, so this is quite a different experience to coming in the summertime. So I've enjoyed it. When I said to my sister, you know, how marvellous it's been, she said, oh, you know, it's been raining and grey. I said, I'm just loving it.
That's very contrary of me, but thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.